Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am Adele Ashley, and I share everything from like books to bullet journaling, daily vlogs, weekly vlogs, just kind of everything is in there. But today, I really wanted to talk about the books I am most excited to read in fall of 2024. So essentially anything coming out from about mid-September through to mid-December is what I'm considering like fall books. And I think that there's a lot of really good ones coming out. I think I have like 15 or 16 on my list so far. So definitely let me know in the comments if I'm missing one of your favorite books or a book that you are looking forward to reading coming out in the next few months. But for now, these are the ones that have caught my eye over the past few months as they've been announced. So first on my list is Scam Goddess by Laci Mosley, out September 10th. It is a collection of essays that Laci has written. She's host of the award-winning Scam Goddess podcast, and it's really centering on the frauds, cons, and schemes that make up our world, and how the scammer mindset has affected her own upbringing, career, friendships, love life, and more. So she really is talking about how everyone's a scammer and everything's a scam. Some people are better at it than others, and some are, we all do it. But the system wasn't built for people like her, so scamming saved her and has taught her how to navigate a messy and unfair world while looking out for herself too. So she recounts how her scammer instincts have guided her throughout her life, from a religious childhood in rural Texas to a stint as a city bartender at what might have been a drug front, to swindling her way past the gatekeepers of Hollywood, recounting the greatest true crime scam stories that inspired her along the way. And it talks about beauty industry capitalism and the people we date. We are all getting scammed at all times, and in this book she identifies the secrets to flipping the script and coming out ahead. This just looks like a fun kind of like non-fiction, or I guess kind of essay read for me. I love kind of like a book that's a bit of a memoir, a bit of an essay collection as well. So definitely looking forward to diving into that. And who doesn't love a good story about people who are like scamming or doing it? Because like Laci Mosley said, we all do it to a certain degree. Next on my list is The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave, out on September 17th. And I am so excited for this. The Last Thing He Told Me, which came out in 2021, was one of my favorite books that I read that year. And it's about, came out in 2020, sorry. But I absolutely loved it. I was hooked from start to finish. I found myself like sneaking away in the middle of my workday. I wanted to like read this book. Like it was every moment that I had to read, I wanted to read it. And it's about estranged siblings who discover their father has been keeping a secret for over 50 years, and one that might have been fatal. So Liam Noon was many things to many people. To the public, he was an exacting self-made hotel magnate fleeing his past. To his 3 ex-wives, he was a loving, albeit distant family man who kept his finances flush and his family carefully separated. To Nora, he was the father who often loved her from afar, notably a cliffside cottage perched on the California coast from which he fell to his death. The authorities rule his death to be accidental, but Nora and her estranged brother Sam have other ideas. As Nora and Sam form an uneasy alliance to unravel the mystery, they start putting together the pieces of their father's past and uncover a family secret that changes everything. With Laura Dave's trademark combination of soulful suspense and evocative family drama, The Night We Lost Him is a riveting page-turner with a heartbreaking final twist you will never see coming. So, like I said, I loved her previous book. When I saw that she was coming out with another one, I was like, I'm gonna read that. I have to pick it up and read it. So I'm basically just waiting until I can get my hands on this book and devote the time or the weekend that I need to read it. It seems so interesting. I'm so kind of looking forward to seeing what the final twist is in it. Just because I know, like, with her previous book, like I mentioned, The Last Thing He Told Me, I was hooked from start to finish and I didn't see anything coming. And especially, like, that last line in the book, like, the last thing he ever told her. So I'm just really, really interested in The Night We Lost Him and seeing what Laura Dave is presenting us with this time. On September 24th, The Serial Killer Guide to San Francisco by Michelle Chouinard is published, and it's a mystery about the granddaughter of a serial killer who shows readers another side of the beloved city. The chill of San Francisco summer can be deadly. No one knows this better than Capri Sanzio, who makes her living giving serial killer tours of the city. Capri has been interested in the topic since she was a kid when she discovered she's the granddaughter of serial killer William Overkill Bill Sanzio, and she's always believed in his innocence, though she's never taken the leap to fully dive into the case. But now, an Overkill Bill copycat has struck in San Francisco, and Capri's former mother-in-law, Sylvia, just cut off Capri's daughter's tuition payments. Needing cash, Capri wonders if this is the time to exonerate her grandfather. The case is back in the news, and the police will be looking to understand the past to catch a present-day killer. Capri could finally uncover the truth about Overkill Bill, documenting the process with a podcast and a book, and hopefully earn some money. Before Capri can get very far, the cops discover the copycat's latest victim, Sylvia. Capri soon finds herself at the heart of the police's investigation for an entirely different reason. She and her daughter are prime suspects. So I think this would be really cute. It's one of those books, like, as you can see, the cover is like so like cartoonish and light and airy for such a heavy subject matter. And I just really interested to see how this is cleverly done. The granddaughter of a serial killer who's like, he's definitely innocent, and then next thing you know, she is thought to be the copycat. It seems like, or like she killed her mother-in-law using similar things that she learned from her grandfather. I did mention earlier that I was trying to break out of my kind of constantly reading romance rut, and this just seems like a really fun mystery for me to dive into. And I've been hooked on it since I first saw this was coming out in September. Easily I was like, oh, this book looks so intriguing to me. So definitely on the list, definitely will be picking it up on September 24th. One of my favorite things about fall is how we start getting Christmas or holiday themed books at the beginning of the fall season. They tend to drop in September so that they could get press and build up as we head into before we get into November, December. So I actually have two, maybe three Christmas books on my list. The first one being The Holiday Cottage by Sarah Morgan. This is being listed as perfect for fans of Rebecca Searle and Jennifer Weiner, which I am super excited about because I love both of those authors. The Holiday Cottage follows Imogen, who is a marketing dynamo. Her colleagues don't know that while her high-achieving professional image is real, the happy childhood stories she spins are as fake as her pretend enthusiasm for Christmas. Working 24/7 has always been her solution to surviving the festive season until burnout leads to a catastrophic blunder. Suddenly, Imogen is handed a holiday gift she definitely doesn't want and forced time off to recuperate. Then an invitation arrives from her favorite client, Dorothy, to stay at her guest cottage in the Cotswolds. From the thatched roof to the cozy open fireplace, Holiday Cottage is a picture-perfect haven. Can it provide the fresh start she so desperately needs? For Dorothy, helping Imogen offers a longed-for chance to make reparations for her own past. But as her daughter Sarah keeps reminding her, it brings risks too. Yet Dorothy knows that only a leap of courage will allow her family to grow and heal. And perhaps this Christmas, with Dorothy's help, the new life that Imogen is slowly piecing together could be better than anything either of them could imagine. This just feels like such a heartfelt story of friendship, finding yourself, ties that bring people together. I also, as someone who is recovering from burnout, I relate so deeply to that needing to be forced to take time off work, and the need to recuperate. And honestly, personally, I would love to be invited to a cottage in the Cotswolds just to recuperate. Send me there, let me sit there with, an open fireplace and just relax, do nothing. So I am super excited about that one. This next book on my list that is also a holiday is A Jingle Bell Mingle by Julie Murphy and Sierra Sion. It's also out on September 24th. This is the third in the Holiday Notch, I want to say, series. It's going to be fun. I know exactly what I'm going to get into when I'm reading this book. I know I have read the previous 2 in the series as they came out every year. They're kind of just like a really feel-good, I guess, Christmas or holiday book for me. So I'm excited to dive into this one. It essentially starts with what happens when there's no room at the inn and you and your potentially demonic cat become roommates with your grumpy one-night stand. Part-time adult film actress and one-time adult film director makeup artist Sunny Palmer has accidentally sold her very first screenplay to the Hope Channel. That was 6 months ago. Fast forward to a looming deadline, and uninspired Sunny has returned to the source of her inspiration in Christmas Notch, Vermont, to immerse herself in the local Christmas miracle on which her fever dream of a movie pitch was based. Isaac Kelly, former boy band heartthrob and the saddest boy in the music biz, is the latest owner of the town's historic mansion. After his years of heartbreak following his young wife's death, Isaac's record label is done waiting for new music. What better place to attempt his first holiday album than a snow-covered mansion where he can become a hermit in peace? But after their best friend's wedding leads them to waking up together in a freezing motel room with questionable wiring and a broken shower, Isaac takes a chance and asks Sunny to stay with him at his home. Surely the place that is big enough that he'll hardly see her or her unhinged cat. But when the two discover they're both creatively blocked, they make a handshake deal. Isaac will help Sunny hunt down the truth behind the local lore, and Sunny will find Isaac a new muse. And with these two opposites under one roof, there's no way this Jingle Bell Mingle could go off script, right? So, like I said, I love the Christmas Notch, pretty sure it's called, not Holiday Notch, the Christmas Notch series. They're super fun, by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. The books very much read as like standalones, but it does help if you read them kind of in order. I've found, just because they do kind of like call back to a little bit about what happened in previous books. This one, it is coming out in September. I probably will hold it a little bit closer to like November-ish potentially to read, just because it is very like holiday based, but at the same time, I'm a mood reader, so that could completely go out the window and I could be reading it on September 25th. We'll see. The next book on my list is Hate Follow by Erin Quinn-Kong, out on October 8th. And it's about influencers. So who does not love a book about kind of like influencers and the culture behind that? It follows influencer Whitney Golden, who, to her 1 million Instagram followers, her life looks just about perfect. But her curated existence explodes when her teenage daughter Mia sues for invasion of privacy. The monumental case throws their relationship into a tailspin and has mother and daughter grappling with what it truly means to be in the public eye. So Whitney has it all: beautiful photogenic children, a handsome new boyfriend, a gorgeous house, and designer clothes and beauty products that arrive on her doorstep every day. After spending years building her brand as a widowed mother of 4, including twins, to over 1 million followers, the 37-year-old is at the peak of her career. But it all comes screeching to a halt when Mia, her teenage daughter, announces she's tired of the social media life. She wants nothing more to do with her mom's online brand and demands that not just she, but her siblings and their deceased father be removed from Whitney's Instagram blog and just about everywhere else on the internet. When Whitney doesn't agree, Mia does the unthinkable. She sues her mother. What started as a family spat turns into a monumental case about child privacy, individual agency, and modern parenting that shatters Mia and Whitney's relationship and wreaks havoc on both of their lives. As the case ignites a media firestorm and unrelenting online bashing from a Greek chorus of internet snarkers, Whitney has to decide whether she's willing to risk everything she's built to win back her daughter. I am really excited for this debut novel. I think it does touch on a lot of things that were not taken into consideration at the kind of start of the internet, the start of blogging, the rise of mommy bloggers and all of that. And the reality is that some of those kids who were babies when their parents started blogs, or were born as their parents started these blogs, are now at an age where they can speak to them for themselves and say like, hey, I don't want my picture taken. I don't want to be blasted all over the internet. I want you to take down that story about me when I was like 2-3 years old and getting potty trained. And I think it's really interesting to see kind of like a fictional take on it, because we know, I believe there have been instances where some children's bloggers have, or influencers have, said that they wanted their pictures scrubbed from the internet and asked their parents to stop. I don't know if any of them have got so far as, in fact, as like they're actually suing about like child privacy and individual agency, but I am interested in reading a book that kind of delves into that a little bit. And hopefully does a really good job talking about like Mia's side of things, as well as like the mom, Whitney's side in this story. So Hate Follow definitely is on my list. I will be reading it. I'll be sure to let you guys know my thoughts. I'd be interested in knowing your thoughts as well, in terms of like the whole like child privacy and posting them online. I know where I stand with it. I don't think I would ever post a child that I had online until they're like at an age where they can consent to it. And for me, like that age of consent really is like 16, 17, like when they know for a fact that what it is. Because I think if you ask, like when I see bloggers be like, oh, I asked my 5-year-old if they wanted to do this and they said yes, it's like, does your 5-year-old understand fully what they are getting into? But that is a larger discussion. Back to the book. I'm excited to dive into it. And I'm really interested to see how it's kind of like portrayed throughout. My next holiday book is Most Wonderful by Georgia Clark, out on October 15th. And it's a charming queer holiday romance about 3 adult siblings, each at a personal and romantic crossroads, who reunite at their larger-than-life mother's Catskills Manor for an unforgettable Christmas. I love Georgia Clark's books. I stumbled across I can't even remember the name of the book right now, but I stumbled across one of her books a couple years ago. It was during the pandemic. And it was absolutely had me hooked from start to finish. It was like a big cast of characters. I listened to the audiobook of it actually, so I heard all about like the different voices for all of them, and I just was rooting for these characters so deeply. She had other books that came out. Her book that came out a year or two ago, I read that as well. Loved it. Same feelings, big cast, lots of things happening, and which is why I think I'm so excited to jump into Most Wonderful. You know, I know it's going to be a big cast. I know they're going to be jumping around all the time. I know it's all going to come together at the end. It's just comfort. And essentially, Most Wonderful follows the Belvedere siblings, who are a mess as the holidays are fast approaching. Liz is a Hollywood showrunner and responsible eldest, has no idea how to follow up her hit show's first season or how to deal with her giant crush on his star Violet Grace. Birdie turned her chronic middle child syndrome into a career as a stand-up comic. But since she spends more time wooing women than working on her new material, she's facing one-hit wonder status, especially when she gets axed by her manager. And Raffi is a sensitive romantic, and the baby golden boy proposes to his co-worker girlfriend in front of his entire company, only to be turned down by the woman he thought was the love of his life. So, born to 3 different fathers, the 3 adult children share one mother, famed actress and singer Babs Belvedere. Seeking direction in holiday cheer, all 3 siblings head up to their mother's house in the Catskills, determined to swear off love and focus on themselves and their work. But the spirit of the season seems to have different plans for them, and their best intentions are quickly derailed in the most delightful and festive of ways. So Most Wonderful is being listed as perfect for fans of Emily Henry and Casey McQuiston. My love for Casey McQuiston has been well documented on this channel so far, to the point, like, you know, I'm filming it. It's kind of like beginning of September right now. I'm actually going to see them at an author talk later today. So anytime a book is listed as perfect for a fan of Casey McQuiston, I am right there for it. Like I've said, I also love Georgia Clark as an author, and the Emily Henry comparison, I have only really read one of their books, but that's okay. We will read it regardless. And I'm just super excited to dive into another story that I know that I'll probably like really enjoy and love, and that big cast of characters again. I'll mostly do it on audiobook. The Christmas Countdown by Holiday Holly Cassidy is out on October 22nd, and it's a holiday rom-com about a young, recently heartbroken woman who's tasked by her sister to complete advent calendar challenges in the lead up to Christmas to reignite her belief in herself, the holidays, and love again. So all Callie wants for Christmas is to hibernate. She's just been dumped by her childhood sweetheart, and under no circumstances will she go home for the holidays, considering her ex will be right next door with his perfect new partner. Callie is officially in Grinch mode, but her meddling sister Anita won't let her give up on life, love, and Christmas quite so easily. Anita stages a Christmas intervention for Callie with a homemade advent calendar challenge. Cheerful tasks to push Callie out of her comfort zone and into the holiday spirit, inspired by a childhood tradition. Callie reluctantly plays along, but when she comes face to face with a charming baker who might just be the spoonful of sugar she needs, her strict rules on love and the holidays are tested. As they strike a deal to do the activity together, because the 24 little doors on Callie's advent calendar not only open up one, but two closed off hearts. So this just seems cute. It just seems like a Hallmark movie in book form, which I'm super excited to kind of like dive into and see. I've never read a book by Holly Cassidy before, I think. But yeah, I just was really charmed by the idea of a holiday rom-com and the advent calendar aspect of it. It kind of reminds me, there was a Netflix movie a couple years ago. If I can remember, I'll include it down here for you, the title. But there was a Netflix holiday movie a few years ago that kind of had a similar concept, which I think is and it was fun, which I think is a little bit of what's drawing me towards the Christmas Countdown as a book in general. So next on my list is The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins, out on October 29th. Just like everyone, I read The Girl on the Train, and I like ate that shit up. And that's kind of like The Girl on the Train was one of the books that kind of like first pushed me into reading thrillers. Like, it was not Gone Girl for me, it was The Girl on the Train. And I used to only read like mystery thrillers for years. I stopped for a couple of years there because I found them getting kind of like repetitive and kind of boring to me. But I find for this year, like 2024, I've started to like kind of dabble in them a little bit more and really enjoy them. So The Blue Hour by Paula Hawkins kind of gripped me. Quite honestly, there is no synopsis for this book, or like no substantial synopsis for this book that I could find online, which could be why I'm so intrigued by it. But like, I will literally read to you all we know because there's not much. So it's about an isolated Scottish island, accessible to the mainland only 12 hours a day. A famous, some might say infamous, artist whose notoriously unfaithful husband disappeared after visiting her 20 years ago. A present-day discovery that intimately connects three people and unveils a web of secret and lies. It's a masterful and propulsive novel that asks searing questions of ambition, power, gender, and perception. The Blue Hour recalls the very best of Shirley Jackson and Patricia Highsmith, and cements Hawkins' place among the very best of our most nuanced, powerful, and stylish storytellers. That's it. That's all I have about this book. But it is enough to like pull me in and make me want to read more. So that's kind of it. The Perfect Fit by Clare Gilmore is also out on October 29th, and it's a hilarious and heartfelt rom-com about having it all, slowing down to see the big picture, and finding out that the person you least expect could be your perfect fit. So Josephine Davis has spent her entire 20s building Revenant, a fashion brand headquartered in downtown Austin. When her biggest investor orders Josie to hire a consultant, the last person she expects to be working with is Will Grant, the twin brother of her ex-best friend. Sure, Will and Josie might have shared one mistake of a kiss during senior spring break 9 years ago, but they've never been friends. She remembers him as moody. He always thought of her as shallow. Romance isn't on the table for either of them until they blink and realize there's a reason they can't stay away from each other. But there's Will's sister to consider, who Josie hasn't spoken with since their falling out. Not to mention, Will and Josie live 1,700 miles apart. And it's not like she has time for a boyfriend anyway, when she's an overworked CEO. As Josie's burnout looms, while she falls deeper and harder for Will, she contends with the fact that eventually she'll have to make a choice. Stay alone to be productive, or slow down to be in love. This just, again, seems fun. Like I said previously, I've suffered burnout. I've spent the past year recovering from burnout. So I could be slightly attracted to this because it is someone like slowing down potentially to overcome burnout. I do kind of like the twist of like it's her ex-best friend's twin, so it's not kind of like best friend's brother, but not still my current best friend, if that makes sense. So a little bit of a twist on that kind of like popular trope. They're getting a second chance 9 years later. It's just like, I know how this is going to play out. I know exactly the story that I'm going to get reading this. But it is kind of like, I'm intrigued. And I really kind of want to see how this goes. Okay, so I've been excited for this book since it first came out. Pickle Ballish by Ilana Long. It's coming out on November 12th. And it's about pickleball, obviously. I have never played pickleball. I have zero hand-eye coordination. I can't even like play tennis. I am so excited for this. It seems so like cheesy in like the best way possible. Like even the synopsis is packed full with puns about like pickles. So it stars Meg Bloomberg is in a pickle. When Meg's ex turns out to be a total player, she and her bestie take off for a mood-lifting pickleball excursion to Bainbridge Island. It's supposed to be an easy lob, a way to heal, not the opening serve to a new courtside romance that's doomed to spin out. No matter how Meg tries, she can't shake her feelings for Ethan Fine, a charismatic environmental consultant and Bainbridge local. Ethan seems like the real deal. But when Meg discovers that Ethan is sabotaging her home court, she decides the match is over. It's time for Meg to take control of her own game, and maybe, just maybe, love will bounce back. I love it. Sign me up. Like, I want 14 of them. I can't wait to see how this plays out. I'm curious if the like tennis and pickle puns continue through the entire book. It's a debut rom-com. I'm intrigued by it. It seems something that's fun and new, and I'm really excited about that to get my hands on it in November. The next book is A Legend in the Baking by Jamie Wesley, out on November 19th. This is a standalone sequel to a previous book that's in a series. It's about a cupcake baking football player who gets assistance from a social media maven and his best friend's little sister to help promote his new bakery after accidentally going viral. So August Hodges was supposed to be the silent partner in Sugar Blitz Cupcakes, emphasis on silent. That is, until his impromptu feminist rant about how women bakers are the backbone of the industry and baking cupcakes isn't a threat to masculinity goes viral, making him the hottest bachelor in town. With a new location in the works, August and his partners decide to capitalize on this perfect opportunity to help cement their place in the community. But the hiring of his best friend's younger sister, the woman who has haunted some of his best dreams for years, was as much of a shock as his newfound fame. Social media manager Sloane Dell fell hard for her brother's best friend the moment she met him more than a decade ago, but the teenage infatuation cost her dearly. Still, she accepts her brother's request to revamp the bakery's social media presence to take advantage of August's newfound popularity, knowing it's the big break her fledgling career needs. She'll just ignore the fact that August is still August, i.e., sexier and sweeter than any man has the right to be, and that he drives her crazy with his resistance to all her ideas. They vow to leave the past in the past, but when an explosive makeup session makes it clear their attraction burns hotter than ever, Sloane and August are forced to reconsider what it means to take a risk and chase your dreams. As they're both about to find out, all's fair in love and cupcakes. So, Jamie Wesley I've read a Jamie Wesley book before. I did read the first book in this series. Again, I am blanking completely on the title, but I'll make sure that I put it up here for you guys. And I remember enjoying it. So a standalone sequel was like the other half of that, of the other man in the series. It was like the co-owner of the bakery is very intriguing to me. I do know that it follows like football players. So So, like I said, I read Jamie Wesley's previous book in this series. I, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of it, but I could like see the cover in my head. So I am excited to dive into this. I do know it's like, you know, it was a football player, 2 football players owned like this bake shop and everything else. So I'm excited to see kind of like how it all plays out and how it goes. Brother's best friend, common trope in a lot of romance books, common trope in a lot of sports romance books as well, especially like football, hockey. But yeah, just excited to really see how this kind of like plays out. And just dive into a series that I already know and enjoy. Also on my list is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly, out on December 3rd. It's a bittersweet romantic comedy which enemies forced together by a mutual loss are led on a cross-country journey toward a second chance. So Maddie Sanderson would be proud to honor her older brother's dying wish that she scatter his ashes over 8 destinations that the adventurous 29-year-old never got to visit before he died from cancer. But in his will, Josh assigned her an impossible partner to help complete her mission, Dominic Perry. Seriously, if Maddie weren't already at his funeral, she would have killed him for this. Sure, Dom was Josh's lifelong best friend. He's also the infuriating man who broke Maddie's heart back when she was naive enough to give it to him. But since Dom insists on following the rules and Josh didn't leave much room for Maddie to argue the matter, they embarked together on a series of farewell trips that span thousands of miles, exploring new places and revisiting their complicated history along the way. After a snowstorm leads to a shared bed, Maddie starts to wonder if her brother might be matchmaking from the grave. But when grief also reopens old wounds between them, Maddie will need more than Josh's ghostly guidance to trust Dom again. So, this is definitely bittersweet. And I think it's going to be one of those books, it's going to be one of those rom-coms, I think, that kind of like surprises you, where it is not as... the romance might actually take like a back seat to the other kind of like things happening in the story. You know, they're going on a trip to spread her brother's ashes and his best friend's ashes. There's a grief journey that is being hinted at as well. And as much as I love like those romance novels that are just like, oh my God, they meet, they fall in love, there's a lesson there. I also like the ones that have a little bit of like a deeper meaning or deeper feeling behind it, where it's like something like they are working through grief. Like it's not just a fluffy problem that they're working through. And I think everyone's problems, like something that's a big problem for me could be like such a small and minuscule problem for something else. But so not discounting that at all and their problems, but I just think that I really like books where it's like they are dealing with something that is so like heavy or real world and working through it together and kind of eventually coming to terms with it. So P.S. I Hate You is on my list. I will probably be reading it and crying while reading it, but reading it nonetheless. And then the final book on my list is Statistically Speaking by Debbie Johnson, out on December 3rd. So when Gemma's anxiety gets the best of her, she opens her sock drawer and starts counting. Lately, she's been counting a lot of socks. So as a high school history teacher, Gemma Jones loves the certainty of the past, specific names, solid dates, proven statistics. Maybe that's because her own past resembles a jumbled up sock drawer where it's impossible to find. Maybe that's because her own past resembles a jumbled up sock drawer, one where it's impossible to find a match. On paper, Gemma's life is just like any other successful single 30-something. Her students adore her, she lives in a cute beachside cottage next door to the world's sweetest neighbor Margie, and she's definitely caught the eye of Kareem, the resident hot PE teacher at her school. But every day of her life, she can't get one thing out of her mind: the baby she gave up for adoption when Gemma was just 16 years old. This is the year that Baby, the only name that Gemma has for her little girl, will turn 18. And it might be the year she actually meets her daughter face to face. Or maybe she already has. Katie, a new student who's moved into the area, shares Gemma's hair color, bright red, and build, long and lean. And by the way, totally random stat, she also shares the same birthday, October 3rd, as Baby. And they're both about to turn 18. What are the odds? But Gemma and Katie's mom are becoming good friends, and Gemma is concerned that their newly minted friendship will unravel fast if Katie is indeed Gemma's birth daughter. Gemma doesn't know if this is the year she'll find baby, but maybe, just maybe, it will be the year she finds herself and finds peace with her life, past and present. And maybe that's what truly counts. So, this is another book that just seems really intriguing to me, definitely more on the fiction side. I can't imagine like that anxiety and everything else of giving up a baby at 16 and knowing that they're turning 18 and therefore could come and reach out to you and talk to you, as well as like thinking that you know who that child is because they're in your community all of a sudden. I'm really intrigued by this. I think it's going to touch on some really real things. Yeah. And I'm just so intrigued by the concept and the book and everything else. So yeah, so those are all the books that I am excited to read in the fall of 2024. Let me know in the comments if there's any books that I'm missing, anything that's on your radar, if you are looking forward to any of these books. I always love to chat about like books and things and what's going on in the book world in general. So yeah, definitely let me know. But until next time, I hope you have an amazing day. Talk to you later. Bye.